Hey everybody, this is Jim, the Tabletop Engineer, and welcome to a new Let's Paint a Mini video. Today I'm going to be painting the last of the core creatures from the Cthulhu Death May Die game that I've been playing. I've got all the big bads painted, all the minions except for this one, and this one's required for the next scenario, so I figure I need to go ahead and get him painted, or it painted. This one's going to be pretty easy, just one color for the whole body, and then for the eyes or the eye stalks, I'll go back and put some yellow dots on that once the paint dries. On the back here, I'm going to paint it all the same color, but then I'm going to hit it with a dry wash to get down. This is like a bunch of puckers and a mouth, so I'm going to get it darkened so you'll be able to pick out the detail. Now, for those of you who follow along, you know that I usually pick a topic to chat about while I'm painting. And today I'm going to talk about something non-crafting or painting related, but it was a question that was put to me recently, and it caused me to realize that I've really never explained myself. And the question was, are you done with crafting, or are you ever going to return to crafting? For those of you who don't know, I have a crafting channel called The Tabletop Engineer, and I've got over, 200 videos up, but I haven't made any real effort to put any new crafting videos up in a while. And there isn't actually a pretty good reason, and I'm going to explain that while I'm painting. And I want to go ahead and give you a fair warning that this involves my right eye and some discussion of what has happened with it inside it. So if you're squeamish, this may not be for you. There's nothing squeamish about it, I don't believe, but it does involve one of my eyeballs. So some of you may not like that. All right, so let's go back in time to about March of last year, 2022. I was driving in my car. I wear contacts. I was driving in my car and I had sunglasses on. I was taking my son to a tutoring lesson that he did for algebra. And we were driving and we were almost there. And all of a sudden in my right eye, I started seeing this weird electrical distortion. I don't know how to describe it other than it was sort of like a very neon punkish mix of colors that, and it was in my right eye only, and it did freak me out at first. I mean, it freaked me out, I'll admit. But I didn't want to freak my son out, so I parked the car in the parking lot, and I usually would read and wait for him in the lobby, but this time I decided to wait in the car. I told him to go on in, that I just was going to wait a few minutes. And once he left, I looked at my eye in the mirror, and I couldn't see anything unusual. I was worried about like retinal detachment. I had heard about that. One of our dear friends and fellow crafters, DM Scotty, he went through that a few years ago. And, that's the first thing that goes through your mind is, what's going on? And I can't see out of this eye. It's weird. And is the retina pulling away, or is it detaching? So I was a little panicked. And I just sat there with my eyes closed for just 5 or 10 minutes just to sort of lower my heart rate. I mean, it was a full panic mode. And when I opened my eyes, it had gotten better. I could see out of the eye. I was still seeing flashes, like lightning flashes, which is another symptom of a detached retina, or a retina that's getting ready to detach. So I sat there and I just did a self-evaluation. I was like, okay, I can see out of the eye. I'm seeing sparks. I'm not seeing that weird psychedelic neon effect, which is really just the nerve. I guess later after I talked to the doctor, that what I was seeing was, signals to the brain, because the retinal nerve, or the retina did not know how to perceive what is going on, so it just sends weird signals to the brain. So I was seeing all kinds of weird colors and loops and shapes for just a few minutes, and then it stopped. And in its place, like I said, for at least a day or so after, I was having flashes still. And I'll tell you what that turned out to be shortly. But in its place, instead of the colors and the weird shapes, I had this really obnoxious floater in my vision. And if you have floaters, you know what I'm talking about. If you ever look at a bright white wall or if you're outside and you happen to look and at a blue sky, you might see these like little worm squiggly things in your vision. And they're called floaters, and they're natural. You get them as you get older because the lining of the eyeball, it dries up, or it just sort of gets old, and it comes off, and it comes off in like little strings, right? And they're not harmful mostly. They just float in your vision, and they can be very, very annoying, if they're right in your main point of view. But most floaters will be affected by gravity. They'll move around while you sleep or walk or whatever, and so floaters will come and go. You'll see them sometimes, and then you won't ever see that same floater again. I've been told that small floaters like that will float to the bottom of your eye as you walk or stand. Gravity will just pull them down. But this one was much different. It was bigger, and it was in the shape of an O. I mean, a literal O, a ring. So my son came out after an hour, and by that time, my vision had sort of calmed down. I could see, I could drive. I was still getting some little sparks occasionally, but I figured, okay, I have enough time. And this was a Sunday, by the way, when his tutoring session was. So I figured, okay, Monday morning I'm going to get up bright and early, call my optometrist, and get a referral to an ophthalmologist, which is the eye doctor, right? Your optometrist is the one who gives you glasses and contacts. But for this, I kind of figured I needed to see an ophthalmologist. So they recommended one, and they said, don't panic. You can still see out of the eye, so don't panic. If it's something like a retinal detachment, we've got time to look at it and figure out a plan. And so I'm worried. I'm like, oh, I don't want to lose vision in my right eye, and I know it can be treated with a surgery that makes you. They put I'm not going to go there because some of y'all might be squeamish, but if you want to know how they treat a detached retina, just look it up, Google it. Or ask Scotty. He can tell you. He's been through it. So anyway, I went to the ophthalmologist, and they looked, and they said, "Oh yeah, you have a Weiss ring, Weiss, and apparently I think it's German for white or something like that, because apparently to the optometrist or the ophthalmologist, it looks like a white ring floating in your eye, but to me it doesn't look white. It looks like a black ring floating right straight in my vision. Like if I look out at one object straight ahead of me, head level with or parallel to the floor, or vision parallel to the floor, I just see this black ring floating there. And if I had to, size-wise, it's hard to say. It'd be like holding about half of a dime in diameter in front of your vision, and you can see through it. It's a ring. And so, I asked him. I said, "Well, what is it?" And he said, "Well, this is the part of the back of your eyeball. Floaters will pull away in strings, but that part that goes around your retina is like a circular nerve, right? So the part that goes around your retina, when it sort of pulls away, it comes off in a ring. Now sometimes the ring breaks, and so it'll be a really long string, right? But they said, most of the time it comes off and it's in the shape of a ring, and it's even got a name, the Weiss ring. So he said this is very common. I mean, relatively speaking, he says it happens. It's not anything just really out of the ordinary. It happens with age. Some people never see the rings. Some people get them in both eyes, which I'm not really thrilled about. But he said, there's really, and I said, okay, so what can I do about it? I want to get rid of it. He said, well, unfortunately, you can't. You're stuck with it. So I was like, okay. And he said, well, honestly, he goes, probably after a few months have passed, your brain is just sort of going to ignore it. You're just going to sort of not see it anymore. And I'll tell you, for a few weeks, he wasn't correct, but I did just sort of, I just mentally said, ignore it. Just, don't think about it. And so for a little while, I didn't think about it. But months went by, months and months and months. And then it never went away, my brain never let it go. It's always there. Now mine is very specific. He said sometimes when it comes off, it'll float away in a direction, and so you'll just sort of have it in your peripheral, like to your left or right. But mine, unlucky me, mine floated perfectly away, and it's right there hovering over the retina. So anytime I look at anything at a distance, and when I say at a distance, anything more than about 1.5 feet away, right there where I'm drawing that's where, if I focus here or anything beyond, I see the ring. Now if I pull it here, just about 1 foot from me, because I'm using, I think, my left eye or my non-dominant eye, I should explain that I wear contacts, and so, or glasses, but in either one of the lenses allows me to focus up, and the other one allows me to focus distant. And it's just the way my eyes are. And so when I've got something up and I've got my readers on, or I'm holding this up to my face, I don't see the ring. It's because it's just, I guess the way I'm focusing, it's not, it's, I don't understand it. I mean, I'm sure I used to understand the physics of vision and how light focuses on a lens, but basically at an up close like this, I don't have to worry about it. But anything at an arm's length away, it's noticeable. So you can probably tell where I'm going with this. It makes doing things at arm's reach not really enjoyable. I mean, it's annoying. That's about the only way I can put it. And so crafting, I could craft. I could get my head down there to my eyes and cut and things. But I don't want to do that. Usually when I'm cutting, I have my hand, at arm length, and I'm cutting or gluing or whatever. And it's just, it's a distraction. It's very distracting. And like I said, it takes away sort of the enjoyment of what I was doing when I was crafting. And it's a horrible, horrible excuse for why I'm not crafting anymore. But it's totally true. I've just been very, very frustrated with it. Well, a few months ago, someone who knows about my issue, a friend, sent me a video on YouTube. And there's this doctor out in Texas who does a surgery with a laser, and I'm all about the lasers, does a surgery with a laser called a YAG laser. And he's got pretty good credentials and pretty good results, and he goes in and he can remove, with little laser blasts, he can remove these floaters. Now, it does come with some complications. I've never had cataracts. My dad had his first cataract at like age 78 or 79. So I've got some years ahead of me if they're genetic. At least I hope so. Cataracts can affect anybody, and they can be treated. They can be removed with surgery. But one of the drawbacks of the YAG laser is that if you've never had cataracts, it can increase the chances that you will develop cataracts. You may never develop them. You may get them at an earlier age. You may get them at a later age, and when you weren't supposed to get them. It's really an unknown kind of thing. So what I'm doing right now is I am debating. I am scheduled to go out for a consultation to have it done. And I'm still a little, I'm talking to some other doctors, and I'm trying to determine, the pluses and minuses. Obviously, the pluses now would be this ring is out of my vision. It would allow me to return to activities I like to do, like when I play board games. Sometimes I have to bend my head down to look at the cards, or I have to ask somebody, "Can you read that to me?" It's just, those are the benefits. I won't have to worry about that. But then there's this, do I have to worry about later in life developing cataracts? Now, cataracts can be treated. Like I said, my dad's had cataract surgery, and very good results. Now, that just means more surgery later in life if I were to have cataracts. But given the way medical technology is working, in 10, 20 years, the procedures for correcting cataracts or removing them could be totally different, and it could be much more successful or less less risk to the eyeball. I don't know. So anyway, I just wanted to explain myself. Have I missed crafting? Absolutely. I've been playing with the same crafting terrain in my games for so long now that I've sort of just gotten used to it. But yeah, I would like to get back to crafting. So I am going to go and have this consultation done, and he's going to tell me what my success rate is. He told me if it's just the Weiss ring, which is really all it is, that he has very, very good success in removing it. And when the laser vaporizes it, it turns it into oxygen and nitrogen bubbles that float to the top of the eye, and they go through the membrane and they disappear. But something with the laser going in your eye, it must do something to the inner part of the eyeball that does increase your risk of cataracts, which is like, it's just a cloudy buildup of the liquid in your eye. So I'm going to have to do some thinking about it. When he checks me and if he says you're good to go, I can have it right then and there. And this is about a month and a half away that I would be doing it. So, and apparently it's instant. Like you can return to normal. You know, your eye will feel a little scratchy or maybe a little pressure in it, but for a while, and you take some medicine. But apparently you can return to your normal activities. It's just I won't have that ring anymore. So keep your fingers crossed for me that maybe it will work for me and get this thing out of my vision. I will tell you, if you ever see any sparks, flashes of lights, or weird colors in an eye or both eyes, get yourself to, if it's a weekend, you may have to go to the emergency room, but get yourself to your eye doctor or call them and have it looked at, because my retina, it was not at risk. That's what I was worried about, was my retina was at risk. And the ophthalmologist looked and he said, no, your retina's fine. It's just that piece came off of it and it's in the shape of a ring, and now you have this mean floater sitting in there. So don't risk your vision. If I could have gone to the eye doctor that day, it was a Sunday, and I was like, I'm not going to go to the ER, especially since I can see. But thinking back, maybe I should have, because who knows? Maybe it was something that could have been done about it right then and there. But I don't think so. I've been told there was nothing that anybody at the ER could have done. But don't take risks with your eyes. Your eyes, you get two of them, but you really want that binocular vision. And I want mine back so I can start doing the things I do, where I don't have to hold the miniatures up so close to my face. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let this paint dry, and then I'm going to go, and there's just some eyes. There's like 5 or 6 of them, and I'm going to dot those with yellow just to have it, more alien look. And then on the back here, I'm going to hit this back with a dark wash that'll make all those suckers, it's almost like octopus suckers, it'll make them pop out a little more. And then this guy will be done, and I am ready to play another scenario of Cthulhu Death May Die. All right, that's all I have for this Paint a Mini video. This is Jim, the Tabletop Engineer. Thanks for joining me and listening to me explain why I haven't been crafting in a while. And I'll be back very soon with another Let's Paint a Mini video. Until then, everybody, take care.